Hi guys, today we decided to review something different, so we watched Silver Bullet. I've never watched this movie, but they recommended to me. This one is an 80s horror film starring Corey Haim, Megan Follows and Gary Busey. This movie was surprisingly good due to the majority of the actors and the narrative. The special effects were understandably horrible because of the budget and the decade in which it was made. But it's still a competent werewolf movie, and since we are talking about it, we brought a specialist on the matter, our guest here, and we would like to share his opinions with you.
Well, there are people who love vampires, there are people who love zombies. Well, I kinda like werewolves. Unfortunately, there are not many good films about werewolves. I think the first film I ever watched was an American werewolf in Paris. Even though the werewolves were a bit CGI and fake, the designs were great, but you know, it's understandable it was 1997. There's an American Werewolf in London, which is probably one of the best werewolf movies ever. We have the Underworld film, which had also very good werewolves. They didn't show too much because of the low budget, so that just made the werewolves work in a film. Unfortunately, I hate the majority of the werewolf movies nowadays. They are too fake, they are too CGI, they look like pussy kittens. Just look at Van Helsing, the sequels of Underworld, it's just awful. I watched Silver Bullet maybe when I was a teenager, and when I didn't like that much, but now, watching it again, I think he has some good points.
The movie begins with a very realistic death scene. Amazing. This is a little bit indicative of most of the death scenes in the movie. The movie takes place in typical small town in America. And after the opening kill, we're introduced to the main characters, Marty and Jane. He is just a normal kid, not a little angel, but also not a brat. And she's a more responsible older sister. Their relationship is very well layered and the actors are quite good in the roles. Especially Corey Haim, since Marty is in a wheelchair. They fight a lot with each other, but it's quite clear that they still love each other. The main issue with Jane is that because of her brother's condition, she feels the burden of extra responsibility.
I think that's exactly the strongest thing in a film. The relation between the brother and the sister and the family issues is not just a simple horror film. There's some strong family drama, but with a werewolf in the middle.
Yeah, the story is very simple. A werewolf lives among the community and no one knows his origins. Actually, I found out immediately who he was because how creepy he looked.
Yeah, you call it since his first scene.
Well, the movie is quite obvious in that aspect. The werewolf is the creepy over-the-top reverend, yeah.
In the beginning, there is no explanation for his motivation to commit those murders. As the movie progresses, the main characters start to uncover who it might be, and it becomes clear to us that even him doesn't understand the transformation. In one scene in particular, he tries to justify his actions with righteous motives.
Stella was going to commit suicide, and if she had done so, she would be burning in hell right now. By killing her, I took her physical life, but I saved her life eternal.
Yeah, here you can tell a bit of overacting.
You meddling little shit!
Well, there is another actor worth of notice in that aspect. Marty's best friend father. Some of his reactions and lines are a little bit awkward, to say the least. Especially his reaction upon seeing his son dead. I understand his reaction, but it seems to me that he made different reactions and then the director just chose to include them all.
There's another hilarious side character. When all the village decides to go on a night to search for the killer, they look tough, they look angry. What happens when they find the werewolf? They run like a bunch of pussies. Just look at these scenes. The guy pisses his pants. It's not one, it's all of them.
Bobby, you gonna make lemonade in your pants?
One of my favorite characters is Uncle Red, played by Gary Busey. I liked his acting, he was very honest and real. As a person he wasn't a good example, but you can see that he cares. Maybe not about himself, but...
Bart here says, oh, he always calls me that.
That motorized wheelchair is probably the coolest gift anyone could give to someone like him. Actually, giving it to a normal kid would be awesome.
Damn, looks good.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah, he means well, but he seems to be willing to put the kid in danger a couple of times.
Sure.
Okay. Save this for the last. It's a rocket. You'll like it.
Still, without that amazing rocket-powered wheelchair, we wouldn't have a scene with an epic 80s montage song. And a chase scene between the wheelchair and the car.
You know it's the 80s right away because the rocket wheelchair has these stupid red flags. I would be embarrassed to ride that thing in public.
Oh, and of course, we're forgetting about the scenes with the locals and all of their dumb ideas, picking fights with each other for no clear reason.
The Peacemaker! Look at that! It's probably the best bet ever.
I laughed hard in that scene, and even more in the next scenes with the Peacemaker. The werewolf actually uses it.
And that's one of the most obvious clues for the main characters discovering who the werewolf is, because he keeps the thing in his house.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't a professional serial killer.
We're not telling you the ending of the movie, but believe me, it keeps you on the edge, it's funny, and it's actually quite sweet.
One thing that annoys me, especially in recent horror films, is the jump scares. Well, in this film you have jump scares, but they are far better than the ones done in nowadays. Like this scene where the officer is investigating the house of the Reverend.
Can I help you, Joe?
I agree, and it's annoying how a cheap 80s horror movie is more entertaining to me than most today.
And has more believable and likable protagonists. They are not some douchey teens played by weak actors with fake expressions. I like these kids. I like that they have a believable relationship. And I like their interactions.
Jane, please take the money.
Yeah, the film is cheesy, there are some bad scenes, but it's an entertaining, cheesy film. Although some points are worth mentioning, some special effects were bad, like the fog, the transformation, the werewolf costume, but I think that is also due to the budget. But the cinematography is decent and there are some really nice shots that are worth your attention.
All in all, this is like a good snack movie in a way that it's short, it's enjoyable, and it leaves you satisfied for some time.
That's it. If you're looking for a tasty, cheesy horror flick, we recommend you this one. If you've already seen this movie, don't forget to tell us what you thought in the comments. See you next time.
See ya.